Cristiano Ronaldo. Ah, man, very disappointing news. Very disappointing week involving him as the best of all time, some would arguably say. Oh no, Messi's better, Ronaldo's better. They're both phenomenal players, although I will always stick to I prefer Ronaldo over Messi. I grew up with him at United, what can I say? I know for a fact that if you're watching this video, there's no denying or doubting that you've probably watched the interview with him and Piers Morgan. I watched the first part of the interview. I sort of didn't really watch the second part because what he said in the interview, well, we've been saying it for years at Man United, and the football world's been saying for years, yeah, we know United isn't the greatest. It's going to be a long-term project, we obviously know. But stick around in this video. Let me explain my point of view on what my opinion is on this whole thing. So when Ronaldo arrived last year in September, October, I found out because I was at my cousin's apartment in The Hague. He's moved out into another apartment now, but I was on the couch and I was just on the United because, I follow United thoroughly. Been following them for about a decade. And there's no denying with Alex Ferguson, retiring in 2013, it went a little bit downhill. And, we don't really know why it went downhill. It just suddenly went downhill. I think the respect players had for Ferguson wasn't there for the other coaches. Anyways, United have been through coaches like a thought basically getting ran through in a college dorm. We all know that one person who gets ran through by the whole football team. Come on, let's be honest here. But, alright, anyway, so he arrived last year and I was very excited. But somewhere I was also very skeptical, like, are we getting Ronaldo because of what he can do? Or are we getting him purely for financial reasons? A year later, I can really say we got Ronaldo we got him as a temporary solution. He was never going to be a permanent player at United. That's an unfortunate shame. And I was very skeptical because I was like, there's no way they're going to get a 36-year-old player and have him for 2-3 years. I don't see Ronaldo staying long-term at United. I was hoping and really, praying that he would stay longer, but things played in the background. And unfortunately, when Ole got sacked, Ralf Ragnick came in. Ronaldo obviously didn't like him. I knew from the start. Everybody said, why is he at the club? Fast forward, Ralf Ragnick gets sacked. Erik ten Hag comes in. And oh boy, he said some things about Erik ten Hag, which, it's a bit controversial, because he is still under contract at United. Although when this video is released, he's as good as done at United. Because if you release an interview like that when you signed under contract at a club, yeah, returning back. A bit out of the blue that he said he didn't respect Ten Hag, because I think personally Ten Hag has been very respectfully about Ronaldo's comments in the press, because they ask certain provocative questions in the English media often to foreign coaches, and they want to know this and that. I think Ten Hag has been very respectful towards that. Obviously, if Ronaldo lost his son by birth this year, and that is horrible. Obviously, it must be very horrible. I know what it feels like. I lost a little I think brother or sister a few years ago when my mom was pregnant. So yeah, that's a very hard thing. You don't just get over it over a few days. He did say and claim that in that interview, the part 1, he got no closure, meaning that basically they said, all right, a day free, you got to be there next week. Which if that's true, that's fucked up. There's no denying that. Football world or not, give somebody the time to grieve, even if it takes a few days or weeks. There's no way somebody, even on his standard and high professionalism, can get over the loss of your birth son. So I didn't watch part 2, like I said. But I do believe and feel like the whole interview, like the build-up, the preview was very overhyped. Like Piers Morgan did very much exaggerate about saying all this and that. It's a normal standard interview. What Ronaldo basically said was something we've been saying for years. The Glazers don't care about the club. We know that. They're only there for financial benefits. We know that. They're the owners. At this moment, they still own United. Although, I'm going to just be very honest, I don't think they'll ever sell the club. Unless they get like 3 or 5 billion for it. But they won't sell it for under 2.5, 2.8. I know that for a fact. But for the rest, the interview wasn't that shocking, People were making things like, oh man, this is shocking. Look, you got to understand, right? It's a 50-50 situation. As fans, as football supporters, we don't get an insight in the everyday of these football players. We don't get the insight in what really happens behind the scenes. Because you've got to remember, they only put out what they want you to see. Don't be surprised. A lot of these footballers don't like each other behind the scenes. When you see them on pictures smiling, they have to smile. They have to represent themselves, look good, and for the viewers so that they think, oh, they're all right, they like each other. But most of the times, football players don't like each other. You know what I mean? Rooney, for example, Ronaldo made comment about him. It was a very unnecessary comment saying, about his looks. Irrelevant. But yet again, if you know Ronaldo, he's got a big ego. I don't blame him at his, but that was unprofessional for him. But he was right. Rooney did retire at a certain young age, but this is the thing. I think Ronaldo can't accept or doesn't know how to go around with. The fact he's still playing at the age of 37 in one of the highest competitions in the world is very impressive. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, 40-41, plays still. He might play a year or two and then has to retire. Because unfortunately at that age, Ronaldo may think, I'm 20 years mentally, but unfortunately physically, Ronaldo is not 25 anymore. You can see it in the games he's played this season. He's not as fast, dribbling isn't really that good, hardly completes dribbles or passes. But when you need him, he is there. Even though he hasn't scored much this season. It's like people have forgotten what he's done last season for us. He was undeniably the best. And I want to go back to Wayne Rooney. Ronaldo actually had all the right to speak about Rooney. I love Weather, club legend, club icon, always will have love for him. But we cannot deny and sit here and pretend that Rooney did not criticize him last season. Rooney heavily criticized him a few times at United. So, somewhere, Ronaldo has the right to speak about Rooney. But, on the other hand, there was no reason for him to talk about his looks. It's totally irrelevant to the conversation. What's now for Ronaldo? He's not returning back. Obviously, it makes sense. The club doesn't want him back. He's gotten £1 million fine. And he's also losing 16 million in wages. A player like him in his caliber doesn't be bothered. Highly likely this is something that he wanted to speak about. Now look, if he would have done this interview, if he, would have left United or blah blah blah, would have been no issue. But since he signed under United still at this point of recording with contract, that's breaching his contracts. You must remember, a lot of the times footballers are also limited to what they can say, which is, in my case, I find it very unfortunate. It's the same with basketball players. If you know Kyrie Irving is getting cancelled left and right over some things he said. Now, you may not like or agree with what he said. At the end of the day, it is someone's opinion. Racist or hateful, somebody's opinion at the end of the day. We don't have to like it. I agree, there's a difference between free speech and just hateful speech. But still, at the end of the day, these are also just people. There are people with big influence. People with a lot of money. A lot of power in the industry world. And in the football world. And basketball, whatever, right? I'm disappointed that Ronaldo is gone. I was really hoping for him to stay another season. But unfortunately with Erik ten Hag's plan, he was never going to stay. He was never going to use Ronaldo. Ten Hag knows. It just won't work with Ronaldo. Ronaldo, we all know, is a key player. He's not a team player. He's always been like that. As an 18, 20-year-old, he was never a team player. He was always the guy, if you got the ball, pass it to him. And this is coming from a United fan. Ronaldo was exceptional last season. Second highest goal scorer in the Premier League. Phenomenal at the age of 36, 37. That is fucking insane. Let's all give that. It is a fortunate event that this is happening right now. That this has happened. But on the other hand, I think it's good Ronaldo spoke about this. It's time that somebody also spoke about, you know what? Fuck the owners. I want to expose them. Although, yes, they're exposing. It's been exposed years ago. It is very obvious the owners don't care about the fans, because he also said the infrastructure within the club is not poor, but is the same as 20 years ago. Which is probably right. I've been at Old Trafford 7, 8 years ago. Look, not modern at all. You go to City, you go to Arsenal. Very modern club. United is sort of staying behind, unfortunately. And that is the truth. Now, which club do I think Ronaldo will go? Honestly, I wouldn't know. It would be highly disappointing if he decides to go to Arsenal or any rival club in the Premier League. But I think most of these clubs are also understanding that Ronaldo might cause problems in the dressing room, because information also leaked before the interview that Ronaldo apparently had a negative impact on the players, which you gotta understand, this guy's a winner. He wants to win. And sometimes, if somebody's that high of a winner, they can't accept a loss. And in his case, he gets probably upset. But there's no denying he loves the club, he loves the fans. It just isn't working. It's an unfortunate event that this has happened, but it is what it is. I hope Ronaldo the best, his family the best. And I hope that they can part their ways peacefully. That there's no lawsuit coming, that there's no this and that. Because that will be an absolute waste. Now, I do believe he sort of tarnished his legacy. Unfortunately, a little bit, yeah. Sponsors are hooking off now, which, I mean, Jesus Christ, the guy has hundreds of millions in estate. I don't think he's bothered that much. Matter of fact, this interview was probably planned, because this was made on a Sunday, the interview, the day we played against Fulham, where he claimed he was ill. And you can understand from a manager's perspective that it's very disappointing to find out after you win and you're on the PJ, to find out that somebody's gone behind your back and made an interview. You can understand that's very frustrating. It's disappointing. And it's something I also would never expect from Ronaldo to do. But he did it. At the end of the day, we have to live forward. So yeah, this is the video. What is your thought on the whole Ronaldo situation? It's disappointing, but rather somehow also nice that somebody's finally speaking on the situation within the club. Somebody with that much power. See you later.